House come to order. Please stand as related in prayer today by a guest minister to be introduced by the lady from Harrison and remain standing thereafter for the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I would like to introduce to you Pastor John Davis, Jr., the pastor of Faith Missionary Baptist Church in Gulfport, Mississippi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn, Ms. Williams. Our Father, as a believer, as we pause in prayer, as this body prepares to continue business, I cannot help but to extol your name, to express that there is no shame in believing that God is real, that we can do nothing, we are nothing without you. Thank you for America. Thank you, Father, for Mississippi. Thank you for these legislators and for how you take care of them as they travel to and fro. We ask you and beseech you that you would be in their hearts, that what is in their heart will transfer to their mind, that they may do the things that are pleasing unto God for the good of all Mississippians and even our country. Forgive us of our sins, that your favor may be upon us and remain with us. In the name of Jesus, we pray, amen.
Pledge, please.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We'll have the reading of the journal. Gentleman from ranking moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Introductions of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Lauderdale.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introductions.
Is there objection? Hearing none, we will do that. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This time we'll have introductions of guests and visitors. Do we have any guests or visitors to be introduced today? All right, I don't see any. We will go to the calendar. In-conference appropriations. Oh, yes, sir. Chairman recognized.
Good morning. Let's go to the calendar. Appropriations. Let's look at item number 1 would be House Bill 692. And I'll recognize the gentleman Holmes to explain the conference report.
Gentleman Holmes, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be brief on these and quiz me as you will. On House Bill 1692, that's our legislative expense appropriation. It's a 3% reduction over LBR. It's a 10.28 reduction over fiscal year 2020, and it comes in at $28,513,923. Mr. Speaker, that's an explanation of the appropriation bill on legislative expense.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report. House Bill 1692. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 116 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Speaker, we'd next like to go to House Bill number 1693.
Item 2, you're recognized.
Call that up. You need a usual motion on that?
No, sir. You're
We're just on the
recognized to present
conference
the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an appropriation for Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and your trial judges. We kept Supreme Court trial judges and Court of Appeals at only a 0.5% reduction over 2020, and we've put that in out-of-state travel. So that's where the small reduction is. Otherwise, they were level. Administrative Office of Courts is 7% reduction over LBR 2020. And we're going to reappropriate some money at AOC for the drug intervention courts. That final action is $6,707,883, I believe is that number. There's several in there. The $26 million, the final action on the trial judge is $26,029,937, and Court of Appeals $4,402,000. Mr. Speaker, that's a brief explanation of the appropriation bill. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Questions on the report? Lady from Pearl River, Ms. Wilkes.
Gentlemen, will you yield?
Yes, lady.
Is there any pay raises in here for judges in this bill?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Right, I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1693. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Speaker, we go to next item, House Bill number 1694, the conference report.
You recognize.
This is your appropriation for the Attorney General's office. It comes in at $22,177,767. That's a 5% reduction over LBR and a 6.14 reduction over fiscal year 2020.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1694. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 113 yeas and 4 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Next item, House Bill 1695. This is your appropriation for district attorneys and staff throughout the state. It comes in at $25,051,231. That is a 0.51% reduction over LBR. And that reduction, again, we absorbed an reduction in out-of-state travel, Mr. Speaker. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1695. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 116 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Next item, Mr. Speaker, House Bill number 1696. This is appropriation to State Public Defender's Office. It comes in at $3,074,662. It's a 5% reduction over LBR.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1696. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 113 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Speaker, next item, House Bill number 1697. This is the appropriation for Capital Post-Conviction Counsel for their office. It's actually a 5% over LBR. It's 6% over fiscal year 2020 due to some one-time money from the prior year that they were able to carry over. It comes in at $1,527,284, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report?
Gotcha.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1697. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted?
I'll skip it.
Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 116 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, we next go to item number 8. House Bill number 1699. That's the appropriation for the Fire Academy. It comes in at $4,968,718. That's a 5% reduction over LBR. We reappropriated $84,000 for fire truck match funds as well in this. Mr. Speaker, that's a brief explanation.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1699. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
All right, I'm done for now.
Mr. Speaker, on the next item, that would be number 9, House Bill 1700. We pass over that. It has not been filed. Let's go to number 10, would be House Bill 1701. Recognize the gentleman from Harrison to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Harrison recognized to present the report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the Library Commission. It comes in at a 3% reduction over LBR. It's a 3.4% reduction over 2020, and it comes in at $11,905,000. That is the budget for the Library Commission.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1701. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Next item is ETV. There is a 5% reduction from LBR, and the total comes in at $12,150,000. That is the ETV.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1702. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 106 yeas, 11 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
The next item is Archives and History. Their budget is $17,850, and it is also a 5% reduction.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1703. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
The Arts Commission is the next one. It comes in at $2,400,000, and again, it is 5% from LBR, same as the others. And that is an explanation.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1704. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas and 7 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. That's item number 14 on the calendar. This will be House Bill 1706. I recognize the gentleman from Neshoba to explain the next few conference reports.
The gentleman from Neshoba recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, item number 14, House Bill 1706, the appropriation for Department of Environmental Quality comes in at $265,950,689. This is going to be a 5% below LBR cut, and I know the revolving loan fund that a lot of your municipalities have interest in will probably be forthcoming in the bond bill, or there will be authority down the road for them to have that. And that is the conference report on the Department of Environmental Quality.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1706. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas, 3 nays, the report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go to item number 15, House Bill 1707. Call it up, make the usual motion. Are we doing that, Mr. Speaker?
No, sir. It's a conference report. You recognize
Got you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is a conference report for the Grand Gulf at Little Jewel down in Port Gibson, the Grand Gulf Military Monument Commission. This comes in at $359,243, which they were able to save some of the axe head and took only a 3% cut. And that is a conference report for Grand Gulf.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. The question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1707. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 112 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
1 second, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to, 1 second. Mr. Speaker, if I could, I'd like to go to House Bill 1709, call it up.
All right, you recognize this item 17.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to 1708 if I can and go to 1709.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1709 is the appropriation for the Oil and Gas Board. Comes in at $2,130,824. This is a 5% under LBR cut. As y'all know, we did restore them back to a special fund agency last year, but with oil and gas revenues being down, they are struggling, but they're confident they can make it with this, and I would move that we adopt a conference report.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1709. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
I'd like to go back to item number 16, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1708. This is appropriation for wildlife, fisheries, and parks. Their budget comes in at $78,765,728, which is a 5% cut below LBR. I just want to make a few comments on this. If we move forward with this budget through the years, they have been cut significantly through the years, especially since I've been handling that budget. Don't know if I'm doing my job right or correct, but they're going to have continuing problems with wastewater issues, clean water issues in their parks, things like that. So I want to encourage you as members, if you've got parks in your areas, to continue to work with the Appropriations Chairman on both ends and us as we move forward to be sure that we can stave off as many cuts as we can in the future at this. But that is the budget for wildlife, fisheries, and parks, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? Jim from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Gentleman, you here?
Yes, sir.
I got a text this morning, so there are no closings.
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
that's
sir.
all?
No, sir.
And no privatization?
No, sir. No.
All right, I
No,
appreciate it.
there is language, that it's been in there for years that they can contract with private entities, do advertising and things like that, but no,
Okay.
no private takeover.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1708. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 113 yeas and 3 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go to item number 18, House Bill 1710, which is the appropriation for the Public Service Commission. Comes in at $4,645,180. This is a 3% cut under LBR. They were saved a little bit, and they will continue to do their work in regulating the public utilities in the state, and that is the conference report on the Public Service Commission.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1710. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, item number 19, House Bill 1711, which is the appropriation for the public utility staff. It comes in at $2,094,531. That's a 3% cut under LBR. They were able to save some of the cuts in the big axe head of cuts that are happening, and that is a conference report on the public utility staff.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1711. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, next would be item number 20, House Bill 1712. We will skip that. Next will be item number 21, House Bill 1713. That will be skipped also. Next item we're going to work will be number 22, House Bill 1714. I recognize the gentleman from Pike to explain the conference report.
Jim from Pike, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the Department of Rehab's appropriation budget. It comes to us today. Total amount of money for the Department of Rehab is $236,110,000. The state support is $28.4 million. It is a 3% cut from LBR, and that is the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Harness. Passes. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks. Passes. Lady from Jones, Ms. Scott.
Well, the gentleman yield.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the 950 positions, were any of those cut in this budget for rehab? Or was the budget able to sustain the personnel?
Hold on, let's see. Look at what they were last year. They're
Level funded employees, lady.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
There was no cuts to the employees.
For the employee. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1714. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the next item would be number 23. That would be House Bill 1715. We will skip that bill. It has not been filed. Next will be item number 24, House Bill 1716. I recognize the gentleman from Walthall to explain the next couple conference reports.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 1716 is appropriation for the Forestry Commission. It comes in final action of $27,115,337 with a 5% cut. That's the exclamation, sir.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1716. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 25, House Bill 1717. This appropriation for the Soil and Water Commission, and it comes in at $7,894,175 with a 5% cut. That's the explanation.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1717. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to item number 26. This will be House Bill 1719. Recognize the gentleman from
Pearl River.
Pearl River.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's House Bill 1719, the Pat Harrison Waterway budget. The final action on this number, the final action in this budget is $6,236,664. It's a 5% cut. These are all special fund dollars. Some of these cuts have been restored back from LBR, but these are all special fund dollars. If there are no questions, I'll move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Questions. Lady from Jones.
Speaker, will the gentleman yield? Will you yield, gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Pat Harrison is down there where we are. Now, the monies that were restored, now, you said some of those dollars were restored. Just explain to me, did they get a 5% cut or is it the 3% cut? Other people have been getting the
cuts
restoration?
from legislative budget recommendations. They were restored back. They're all special fund dollars. That agency had that money in their account. They could afford it.
That they could carry
so
on.
we restored those LBR cuts.
Okay, all right. This is kind of hard to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report to House Bill 1719. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is House Bill 1720. This conference report, final action on this is $12,159,684. These are all special fund dollars that they bring into this agency on their own. If there are no questions, I'll move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1720. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is conference report on House Bill 1721. Final action on this budget is $8,803,986. This is a no cut to this budget. These are all special fund dollars.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1721. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is item 28, House Bill 1721. We just did that, didn't we?
We just did that one, gentlemen, I believe. I think we're down to 29.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is item number 29, House Bill 1722. Final action on the Pearl River Valley. Let me see if I can find that one. I don't have that one. Give me 1 second. I don't have that one. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pearl River Valley. The final action on this budget is $20,209,440. There were some pins restored back here. They asked for 6 pins. LBR had them cut 10 pins. We did restore 6 pins back to them. There are no general fund dollars in here, and they have the dollars to cover it. They're a special fund agency. If there are no questions, I'll move final passage.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1722. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is conference report for House Bill 1723 for State Port Authority of Gulfport. Final action on this budget is $79,683,809. We did restore a few cuts from LBR to this agency. This is all special fund dollars. There are no general funds in this budget.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1723. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next item will be item number 31, House Bill 1724. Recognize the gentleman from Pontotoc to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Pontotoc, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. This is the budget, and this is the administrative budget for PERS. Total comes in at $19,409,049. There are no general funds in here, and also that includes paying $3,900,000 for the computer project and $300,000 funding for the building and maintenance and repair. And there were 2 critical hires during this period: a chief investment officer due to the retirement of Ms. Lori Tingle, and an internal audit director. Are there any questions? Are any questions? Move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Please maintain order.
The cut was 2.8% below LBR and 2.3% below fiscal year 20. Any questions? Move final passage.
Any
Mr.
questions
Speaker.
on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1724. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, next item would be number 32. That'd be House Bill 1726. Let's skip that one, please. Okay, next item on the calendar. On the calendar would be this will be item number 3, House Bill 1727. Recognize the gentleman from Jackson to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Jackson, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, this is a conference report on the funding for Department of Transportation. Comes in at $1.086 billion, versus a request of 1.12% under their request. That's an explanation of the report.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, House Bill 1727. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item. Looks like it's down to item 40, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. We're going to skip.
We're going to skip all the rest of them.
All the rest.
We're going to go right straight to item 40.
40. Okay. Okay, the next item will be number 40. It'll be Senate Bill 2927. Recognize the gentleman from Calhoun to explain the bill.
Gentleman from Calhoun, recognized to explain the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. Item 40, Senate Bill 2927, is the appropriation of IHL for student financial aid. And just a second, let me flip over here. Student financial aid is a little bit different from some of the other budgets in the fact that we were able to increase this budget by 1% above last year, and if y'all remember that they had a deficit this year that we had to deal with, so giving them the money that they got last year plus the 1% would not be near what they need or what they projected they'll need for the coming year. But we put everything we could put in it, and we're going to have to deal with a deficit more than likely in January, but we're aware of that, and we're asking them to not prorate any of the awards in the first semester with the anticipation that we're going to adequately fund them with a deficit in January. If not, then they will be forced to do the proration in the second semester. But it comes to you at $43,421,128. And like I said, that is a 1% increase above last year.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2927. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
All right, I would like to skip 41, Mr. Speaker, and go to item 42.
You recognize.
All right, this is Senate Bill 2929, and it's the Alcorn State Ag Programs budget, and that budget is basically across almost all these IHL budgets. There's a 3% reduction below LBR, and that's the same reduction for this budget. It comes in at $6,208,000, and that's it. Like I said, they receive the same cut the other budgets are going to receive.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2929. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 3 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 43, that's Senate Bill number 2930, and that is the appropriation for the Mississippi State University Ag and Forestry Experiment Stations. And as the case for the majority of the budgets, this has a 3% reduction below LBR for the budget amount of $31,636.48, and that's a 3% below LBR. Same as
Questions
last.
on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2930. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
All right. Item number 44, Senate Bill 2931, and that's the appropriation for the Mississippi State Cooperative Extension Program. And there is a deviation here. This is one of the few budgets that was basically level funded from LBR. That's not level funded from last year. That is a 1% reduction in the amount that they received last year, but it was level funded, and so far as in the budget an amount of $43,079,327.
Questions on the report? The gentleman from Hines, Mr. Dortch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, you?
Yes, I will.
What is the reason this one was level funded while the others were cut?
The determination was, excuse me, the determination was made. Of course, I know there are some other agencies that don't have tuition, but this is primarily, that has a lot to do with the fact that no tuition, and they were in an extreme shortfall. Just the decision was made. I don't know, is there... Okay, if we did the same cut that the others got, there would be layoffs in the local offices in each of the county offices, and that's why it was done.
Thank you.
I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Conference report, Senate Bill 2931. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 113 yeas and 4 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
All right, we go to item number 46, that's Senate Bill 2933, and that's appropriations for Mississippi State Veterinary School, and there's a 3% reduction in this budget also for an amount of $41,822,869. They receive the same 3% cut.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2933.
Okay.
In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 114 yeas and 3 nays. Report is adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, I was asked permission. I'm informed I skipped item 45. I would like to go back to item 45.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's Senate Bill number 2932. That's why I was having a hard time with my numbers coordinating. This is the budget for the Mississippi State Forestry and Wildlife Research Centers, and they have the same 3% cut in those budgets for an amount of $6,543,129.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2932. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to item 47 on the agenda, Senate Bill 2934. Recognize the gentleman from Jackson to explain the next 2 conference reports.
The gentleman from Jackson, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 2934 is the support for the Community and Junior College Board. It comes in at $6,168,582. That's actually about a 2.9% decrease from LBR. It's approximately $200,000 less than the LBR. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the report?
Move final passage.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2934. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Yeah, but this is where we are. 2.4 is where we said. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to Senate Bill 2935.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 2935 is the support for the community and junior colleges, 15. It comes in this year at $230,689,883 of state support. That's approximately 2.4% less than level funding. That is approximately $380,000 per junior college or community college less than they got last year on average. So some of the larger ones will take a little bit bigger cut. Some of the smaller ones will be smaller than that. But it averages approximately 2.4% across the board. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the report?
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2935. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you. Ladies of the House, let's go to item 49. That will be Senate Bill 2936. I'd like to recognize a lady from MIT to explain the next 2 conference reports.
Lady from MIT, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the conference report for the Department of Corrections. The final action is $338,127,938. This is a 0 3%. There's no reduction in LBR at all. And that's an explanation of the conference report, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? Gentleman from Holmes, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With a lady year.
Of course, gentlemen.
Lady, as you know, Department of Correction, there's been a lot of dialogue in the news and the things that's going on there. I guess my question is, in this budget proposal that we have, what is some of the things that's been addressed, or have anything been addressed as far as correcting some of the problems that we're having?
Sure, and great question, gentlemen. We are giving special funds in the amount of $3,139,337 for prior year medical expenses. As you know, medical expenses are always a huge cost for the Department of Corrections. There are also special funds in the amount of $2,449,451 for regional facility expenses, and that's a total increase over LBR in the amount of $5,588,788. So for fiscal year 20, it's a 2% reduction. So it's a decrease of $8,352,276 to give you the numbers. But I know that you and I have had a lot of discussion about regionals over the years, and I know that that's always been a primary concern of yours. And I see the lady in agreement as well. And I know that there is also a concern of the lot of members that are here. And so I've been working with the chairman of corrections on that particular issue. You know, there's another bill out there that may address this particular issue. We'll see how that goes through the process. But I will let you know, with the new commissioner coming on board and just being approved through the Senate, there's been a lot of communication with the new commissioner in terms of the budget and what his needs are. And you're well aware, just like other members here on the floor, gentlemen, there was a lot of concern towards the end of last year, 2019, going into 20, about the conditions of our correctional institutions and making sure that those individuals who are housed there, as well as those who are operating them in a good condition. So I think great care was taken, gentlemen, to make sure that there was not a reduction from LBR, and we also tried to make sure that the decrease was as minimal as possible for 20.
Right, and I really appreciate all the hard work that the lady and other members put into it. But I guess going back to the regionals, as you alluded to, there's another bill that possibly could pass that take it up to $31 per day.
Exactly.
Now, my reading of the bill, that language is permissive. It says may.
It says may, and I had that discussion earlier this morning. It says may. It does not say shall. But I will say, gentlemen, that is, and you have been a staunch supporter, and that's a credit to your district. And it's something that you've worked extremely hard on. And like I said before, you and I have had this discussion at the well before. This isn't our first time at the rodeo about this question. But what I can appreciate, gentlemen, is through this bill, you're right, it is permissive, so it does give some flexibility.
It gives flexibility in the other bill, but if the money is not appropriated in this bill, then the likelihood of that being the case is probably slim to none.
There's some additional special funds that we're working through with the deficit.
So possibly come back at some later date.
Exactly.
And do a deficit appropriation.
Exactly. So in other words, gentlemen, and you know the appropriation process very well, if that bill passes, of course, there would have to be some additional money in another bill, even though the language is permissive. But the chairman has been working on that, and we have also. And
again, I appreciate all of the hard work, and we have had dialogue, and you have been receptive. And I guess what I want to, and I think you know this, but it's probably more so for the entire House. We have all of these regionals, and I've spoken with 5 sheriffs that this year they went before their board of supervisors and basically begged them to give them one more year to try to get the legislature to fix the funding problem. And what I don't want us to be faced with sometime in September prior to their budget, that we get a call from 5 or 6 sheriffs saying, come and get 1,200 inmates because we can't continue to run a deficit another year taking care of these inmates. So I think that would put us in a position where it would exacerbate the problems that we're dealing with corrections. So
I think so too, gentlemen. As you know, let's see, this is 2020. I think maybe in 2018, you were at that meeting where we had several sheriffs to come after Sonny died that particular year, just to address the concerns that the regionals were having. And I think after several years, and again, you've been a part of the conversations, as well as the lady from Laurel and other members, as a result of that, we're making some progress, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, lady.
You're welcome.
Jim from Hines, Mr. Dortch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lady, you yield?
Of course.
Section 12 in the bill, I think it gives the commissioner authority to transfer 25% of the budget. Is that existing authority or is that new?
Hold on a minute. Let me get to there. Hold on a minute, gentlemen. Oh, no, gentlemen, that's existing.
It's existing? Mm-hmm. And the $66 million for private prisons, how does that compare to what we did last year?
I didn't hear the first part. I just heard last year. What was the first part of your question?
The $66 million that's in the budget for private prisons, how does that compare to what we appropriated last year?
It's the same.
Same? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It's level.
Okay.
Gentleman from Tallahatchie, Mr. Reynolds.
Lady from Amit and Wilkinson.
And Pike and Adams.
Pike and Adams. Thank you. Now I'm in support of the regionals and all the rest. County work centers are a very low cost and help both the inmates and the populations. This bill is supportive of those, is it not, or does nothing to interfere with those?
Gentlemen, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
County work centers.
Okay.
They are a very low-cost part of the correction system and probably save us a lot of money. There's a great, and inmates are generally better off when they're out there working and contributing. Would you agree with that?
I would, yes.
And this bill and the way you got it does it add to that program, or how does it impact it, if it does?
It's level, and I agree, gentlemen, you're right. We need our county work centers. It's level.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2936. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 112 yeas and 3 nays. Report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to go to the next item, the Department of Public Safety. And the final action is $1,998,413,246. And this appropriation for the Department of Public Safety has been lump summed, and it's a 5% reduction from LBR. That's an explanation of the conference report, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2937. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 115 yeas and 2 nays. Report's adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, ladies in the House, the next item will be number 51, Senate Bill 2938. Let's skip that. Next will be item number 52, Senate Bill 2939. I recognize the gentleman from Pontotoc to explain the next 2 conference reports.
Gentleman from Pontotoc, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'll do the spreadsheet here for the military department. Final action was $159,175,223. And of that now, that 7,755,910 were state support dollars, and the remainder of that was federal support dollars. As you know, the military is very important in the state of Mississippi. We lean on those men and women to take care of us in times of need, and they certainly do a great job. They have a presence all over the state. Are there any questions?
Gentleman to Shamingo, Mr. Carpenter, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Yield.
Yes, sir.
So I did hear you right that they are level funded as far as the National Guard?
As far as I know.
Okay. You are aware that they take that money and draw down federal dollars, right?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, there is language in this bill that gives the commanding officer authority to call down additional federal dollars. I'll read this very quickly. The Adjutant General of Mississippi is hereby authorized to transfer any part of appropriated funds, including general funds, to special funds to take care of the nursing homes.
Thank you for your work on this.
Don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2939. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
I'd like to go to Senate Bill 2940. This is a bill for the Veterans Affairs Board. The Veterans Affairs Board total allocation is expected to be $46,258,326. And of that, $5,461,311 are state dollars. And you know, the Veterans Affairs Board has a responsibility of taking care of the nursing homes in the state. We have 4 nursing homes and have 2 cemeteries. And I'll have to give the Veterans Affairs Board credit for it. They keep those facilities pristine and did a commendable job during the viral situation we were dealing with. Mr. Speaker, that's the end of my presentation.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2940. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Let's go to item number 54. That would be Senate Bill 2941. Recognize the gentleman from Holmes to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Holmes, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Item 54 is the appropriation for the Judicial Performance Commission. It comes in at $551,223. It's a 5% reduction over LBR, and some special fund authority has been added to limit their cuts. That's an explanation, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2941. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Let's go to item number 55. That is Senate Bill 2942. Recognize the gentlelady from Amite to explain the conference report.
Lady from Amite, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the conference report for the Ethics Commission. The final action is $596,097, and that's a 5% reduction from LBR.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report. Senate Bill 2942. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, next item is number 56, Senate Bill 2943. Asked to skip. Next will be 57, Senate Bill 2944. We will skip. So the next item will be number 58, Senate Bill 2945. I recognize the gentleman from Neshoba to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Neshoba, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, this is the appropriation for the Tax Appeals Board, Senate Bill 2945. Comes in at $497,493. It's going to be the standard 5% cut under LBR, and that is the conference report on 2945. Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2945. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and the House, let's go to the next item, Bill 59, Senate Bill 2946. Recognize the gentleman from Montgomery, the Vice Chairman, to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Montgomery, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Appropriation, Senate Bill number 2946, is appropriation for Workers' Compensation Commission. This budget comes in at 5% reduction over LBR and a 6.89% reduction over fiscal year 2020. Mr. Speaker, that's an explanation of this appropriation report.
Questions on the report?
Move adoption.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2946. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Close machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to number 6, item 60, Senate Bill 2947. Recognize the gentleman from Pike to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Pike, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the Department of Mental Health's appropriation. Total state support is $230,576. It is a 1% cut from LBR and a 1% cut under last session. So that is the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? Lady from Jones, Ms. Scott.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, were the positions restored? Did they lose any positions? Mental health.
They did lose a few positions, but they were not requested to add them back, and so everything's good. Yes, ma'am.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm glad it's just a 1% cut, gentlemen. Friendly question.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we're looking at being sued by the federal government. Are we planning to do something to help? I know you have the bill where you're giving CARES money to the community. I'm just worried with a cut and then cutting of services, we're going to be right back where we started.
Yes, ma'am. And so we have added I'm not on the line, but we did add, of the budget of the $230 million, we are mandating that they add $4 million to the community services, and so that is part of the DOJ lawsuit, lady.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2947. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you. Ladies in the House, let's be item 61, Senate Bill 2948. I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Pearl River to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Pearl River, recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. This is the budget conference report for the Tennessee Tom Bigby Waterway Development Authority. Final action on this budget is $418,604. There are some general funds in this budget. Those general funds have been cut 3%, and we restored about $20,000 in spending authority from their special funds. If there are no questions, Mr. Speaker, I'll move final passage.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2948. In favor of the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas and 1 nay, the report's adopted. Next item.
Next item, Mr. Speaker, will be number 62 on the calendar. That's Senate Bill 2949. We ask to recommit for further conference.
Motion is to recommit. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next item.
Okay, that'd be item number 63. It'd be Senate Bill 2957. I recognize the gentleman from Harrison to explain the conference report.
The gentleman from Harrison recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Final action is $8,737,678. That's approximately a 5.5% cut. If there's no questions, I move final passage.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2957. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 113 yeas and 4 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Okay, next item will be item number 64, Senate Bill 2963. I call on the gentleman from Walthall to explain the next few conference reports.
The gentleman from Walthall recognized to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We go to item 64, House Bill 2963. This is the Department of Agriculture and Commerce. Final action comes in at $20,974,100. That is a 3% cut below LBR.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2963. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item 65, Senate Bill 2964. This is the Egg Marketing Board. It comes in final action of $74,805, and it's level funded.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2964. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas and 7 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 66, Senate Bill 2965. This is the Board of Animal Health. The final action comes at $2,030,097. That's a 5% cut from LBR.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2965. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to skip item 67 and go to item 68.
You're recognized.
Senate Bill 2967. This is the Fair Coliseum Commission Livestock Shows. It comes in at $201,540. That's a 5% cut below LBR. Explanation.
Questions on the report? Don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2967. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Okay, next item will be number 69. That'd be Senate Bill 2969. We skip that one, please. Next item will be number 70, Senate Bill 297. Recognize Gentleman Montgomery to explain the conference report.
Gentleman from Montgomery, recognized, present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 2970 is appropriation for the governor's office and mansion. This conference report comes in at 5% reduction over LBR 2020. And that's an explanation of the conference report, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report?
Move adoption.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2970. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Next item, Mr. Speaker, is Senate Bill 2971, item number 71, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conference report on the appropriations for the Department of Audit. It comes in at 5% reduction over LBR and 9% over 2020. This conference report had some money, one-time money in 2020, and with this just actually gives them a little bit more special fund authority. And that's an explanation of the conference report, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report?
Move adoption.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2971. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to item 72. That'd be Senate Bill 2972. Recognize the gentleman from Neshoba to explain the conference report.
The gentleman from Neshoba, recognized, present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, this is the appropriation for the Office of Department of Information and Technology Services. It comes in at $45,202,000. It is a 5% below LBR reduction from 2020, and that is the conference report. Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2972. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let's go to item 73, Senate Bill 2973. Recognize Gentleman Calhoun to explain the conference report.
Gentleman Calhoun, recognized, present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll go to item 73, Senate Bill number 2973. That's the appropriation for the Personnel Board. And their budget comes in at $4,019,700. That is a reduction of 5% below LBO. That is, but it funds all field positions, so there'll be no decrease in personnel.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2973. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, that's item number 74, Senate Bill 2974. We ask to skip that, please. Next item on the calendar will be number 75, Senate Bill 2975. Recognize the gentleman from Montgomery to explain the conference report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 2975 is the appropriations for the Treasurer's Office. This comes in at 4.61% reduction over fiscal year 2020 and a 1.02% cut over LBR. This is a 100% special fund agency, and that's an explanation of this conference report, Mr.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2975. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next item, item number 76, Senate Bill 2976, and this is the appropriations for debt service on general obligation. And due to a balloon payment, I had to increase this budget $51 million, and it had to reduce special fund to actual amount, and that's an explanation of this conference report. No questions. I move adoption.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2976. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 114 yeas and 3 nays, report's adopted. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, ladies in the House, let's skip item number 77 and 78. What we'll bring up will be item number 79, Senate Bill 2980. Recognize the lady from MIT to explain the conference report.
Questions on the report? Oh, excuse me. Lady, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conference report that contains the deficit appropriations for various state agencies, and I'll go through it section by section. Section 1 is the deficit appropriation from capital expense funds for the Department of Corrections for an increase in private prison costs in the amount of $7,957,795. Section 2 is a deficit appropriation for the Department of Corrections from capital expense funds to defray expenses for medical program in the amount of $4,239,367. Section 3 is a deficit appropriation to the Attorney General's Office from capital expense funds to defray expenses for paying outside legal assistance, expert witness fees, court fees, judgments, and settlements in the amount of $1,954,885. And Section 4 is a deficit appropriation to the Department of Human Services from capital expense funds in the amount of $5 million for repayment of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And that's an explanation of the conference report, Mr. Speaker.
Questions. Jim from Hines, Mr. Brown.
There we go.
Madam Eel?
Yes, of course, gentlemen.
Thank you. I'm concerned about putting more money into the for-profit prisons. What was the amount that you said that was going into the private prison?
It was $7,957,795.
Is that an increase over what the appropriation was last
Yes,
year?
it is.
How much difference is that?
Disaster that the prison disaster that the governor.
How much more was it? Do you remember?
$7 million.
But it was because of the disaster that happened.
We had to move all those
Thousands
thousands
of
prisoners.
prisoners. Yeah. So the total amount is $7 million. But as you remember, gentlemen, I just alluded to with the exchange from the gentleman from Holmes, we had the emergency that occurred last year towards the end of the year, and we had to move several individuals from different correctional facilities. And so this is a result of that particular cost.
Well, I am a opponent of the expansion of private prison, for profit prison in the state of Mississippi, and I tried to submit a bill on that early on, but it didn't go anywhere. But the point is, I'm just kind of disappointed we're trying to expand our private prisons.
No, sir, we're not expanding. We're not expanding private prisons. This is not expanding.
If you're giving them more money, that's expanding.
No, sir, it's not. What we're doing is that last year, as you're aware, because, I mean, it's been multiple discussions about it, we had to move several prisoners, several individuals from, it's not an expansion, but we are trying to make sure that they are in better living conditions, better facilities. We're not expanding, we're not building. This isn't money to go and open a new private prison. This is to defray costs that have already been incurred that were not appropriated in the general budget that I just handled earlier. This is not an expansion.
Thank you, lady.
You're welcome.
Gentleman from Holmes, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the lady yield?
Of course.
And I'm trying to understand this. Is the money for medical, is that an increase in addition to the $76 million that was appropriated?
So the money that is for medical is going to end through June the 30th, 2001. You're wanting to know if this is for the deficit for expenses that have already been incurred. So if you're asking if it's on top of, is that your question in addition to?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. I understood your explanation on the correction, the private prison. What do you accredit the increase or the deficit on the medical to?
Several reasons, gentlemen. As you know, there are, and again, you've been aware of the discussions, you know what occurred last year at the end of the year.
Right. And I guess my question becomes now, what are we doing to try to reel some of these costs back in? Are there any more affordable options that we can use as it relates to trying to save the state some money on medical? Because based on my calculation, that's almost $80 million, which is quite a bit when you're talking about 22,000, give or take, inmates in the custody of the Department of Correction.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, gentlemen. The medical costs are something that I have alluded to ever since I've been blessed to have this budget. Whenever we've had corrections hearings, whether it's with the previous two commissioners, this is something that the chairman, myself, and the analysts have always inquired about. I've had discussions with at least a couple of members here that I know who maybe their facility would be able to assist. We've had discussions with UMMC. When the gentleman from Grenada, the chairman of corrections, when he had one of his corrections hearings earlier this year, then the commissioner talked about the medical costs. I asked a question, what were we doing to rein in the costs? So we're exploring several options, whether that's teaming up with outside partners, looking at various contracts, but we're having these discussions to rein in the costs. I think you're well aware, gentlemen, that this is not the first time that we've had discussions about the medical costs, so that's something that we're exploring.
Yeah, and later, it seemed to be an ongoing conversation. I guess that's the reason I'm asking.
It seems to be an ongoing conversation, gentlemen, because as you know, when you have individuals who are housed in correctional facilities, and again, I allude to another bill that we have in corrections right now that deal with geriatric individuals. We have individuals who are housed in corrections who have, cancer, who have various serious issues. That drives up the medical costs. You just can't have someone who is in a facility. Hold on. You asked the question, let me answer.
Take your time.
You can't have an individual who is in a facility and not treat them.
And I agree with the lady, and by no means am I suggesting that we should give substandard treatment. I guess, let me ask you this, how does medical service work now? Do we contract with local hospitals? Do we contract with private companies?
It's a company, but here's the thing, and we get those medical bills. If you notice, usually, and I don't know, it may get lost on some members' ears, but usually I will say when I am presenting the budget, well, we are going to pay this year's medical costs out of this particular budget. And so I'll allude to that when I'm presenting the budget. But I don't want anybody in here to think any member, because corrections involves all 122 of us. And so it's not a matter of, okay, well, individuals, they have health conditions, we can't treat them. We have to look for other options, and that's what we've been doing. But in the meantime, we have to pay the costs.
Thank you, lady.
You're welcome.
Lady from Madison, Ms. Ford.
Lady, do you yield?
Yes.
Do you mind explaining why the House approved the $270,000 for the Amos case, but now after the conference report doesn't show that?
So this is not, lady, hold on a minute, let me get through it. Let me get to that particular section. This is section 3, if you're looking at your bill. If you're looking at your bill, this is going to be section 3. The prepayment costs are not included, lady. This is a from, after, and through. And so it's through line 32, beginning upon passage of this act and ending on June 30th, 2021. So this is a from, after, and through.
It's not a prepayment.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gentleman from Grenada, Mr. Horan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Lady Yield.
Yes.
Lady, we've had several conversations about the medical expenses related to the regionals as well as MDOC in general, correct?
Correct.
And we've talked about the compassionate care bill that hopefully is going to cut the bill that we're going to hopefully come tomorrow to the floor. We've talked about how that will affect, hopefully reduce some of the deficit that we're seeing in this particular measure,
We
correct?
have had those discussions.
And also, we've talked about looking at some of the things involving the regionals as far as maybe allowing them to look at providing some medical care, at least part of the medical care through the regional process. Is that a fair statement?
That is.
All right. Thank you, lady.
You're welcome.
I don't see any other questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report, Senate Bill 2980. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Closed machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 109 yeas, 7 nays, report is adopted. You have one more item at the bottom of the page. Gentlemen, you wish to take that up?
I believe go to the conference appropriate general bills. This will be item number 2, would be House Bill 520, House Bill 524, and bring it up and make the usual, this is a bill.
Just a conference report, gentlemen. You're recognized.
Okay. And what this does, this is an act to provide new purpose for which the Disaster Assistance Trust Fund may be used by MEMA to assist counties, municipalities after disasters to increase the maximum amount they may transfer from working cash stabilization reserve funds to Disaster Assistance Trust Fund for any disaster or disasters and related purposes. And that's what the bill does. And it kind of breaks down section 1, the new section. Section 1 allows housing grants up to $250,000. Q of that section 1, Q adds a new section that allows municipalities and counties to apply and receive funds for disaster removal. Line 138 allows increase from $500,000 to $1 million, and maximum amount would be increased from $1 million to $2 million for declared disasters. And this is all their money, so that's the bill. I'm at the conference report, move final passage.
Questions on the report? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on the conference report to House Bill 524. If you favor the report, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 115 yeas and 2 nays, report is adopted.
Appropriation yields the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim from Prentice, give us a motion to recess subject to call. Please, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand in recess subject to call.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House in recess subject to call.
So they are getting, as you know, a major problem in some areas of health. So as a result, are they getting an increase? I know you talked about the litigation, but are we getting any increase to really deal more effectively with mental health? Are they getting an increase?
announcement.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to call a meeting of rules immediately upon recess, and I'd like to move that this House stand in recess subject to call.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Rules meeting in the rules room. House come back to order. I recognize Madam Clerk to read the report of the Committee on Rules.
Report of Committee on Rules, HCR number 79, suspend deadlines for introduction, state flag, revised with the commission and require words, "In God We Trust." Time sufficient, do be adopted.
Recognize the chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to HCR number 79. We'll adopt that and move to adopt that, and the gentleman from Holmes will explain it.
Gentleman from Holmes, recognized to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I rise before you today in this chamber. The eyes of our state, the nation, and indeed the world are on this house this morning. History will be made here today. We've had many conversations about why this is being done. We've had those conversations with each other. We've had them with our constituents at home. We've had them with the folks on the other end. But at a moment like this, I think it's appropriate for us to pause right here as we bring this before the House and talk about a few things. Whether we like it or not, the Confederate emblem on our state flag is viewed by many as a symbol of hate. There's no getting around that fact. I know many people who have ancestors and love everything about the bravery of the people that they read about, that they hear about in their lineage that fought for the Confederacy. I know those people. I've heard those stories. I get it. I know there are many good people who also believe that this flag is a symbol of our Southern pride and heritage. But for most people throughout our nation and the world, they see that flag and think that it stands for hatred and oppression. That too is simply a fact. It's one we cannot sit here and deny. We start every day in this body, in this chamber, with prayer. The God we pray to created us all in His image. He created each one of us of every race equal in His eyes. This belief, that belief, was the basis of our country's founding idea, that we are all created equal. Every day we pledge allegiance to that idea. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hadn't seen a person in here deny to say that part. That is the heritage we should all cherish. That is what we should preserve. As an elected leader, part of my job is to defend our American ideals. That is your job as well. In a time when too many have come to doubt those very things. You and I cannot carry the banner of freedom in one hand and the banner of hate in the other. It does not work that way. It's time we had a flag that is in harmony with our founding fathers' ideas. Now let me stop here and say this and acknowledge it. Many opponents of changing the flag say we should stand up for what is right, that we shouldn't cave to outside pressure, that we should stand up for what is right even if it's bad for business. I agree with those people. I'm not for changing the flag because of outside pressure. I'm not for changing it because it's better for business. I'm here today because it is simply the right thing to do. I am more than willing to accept economic hardship and public pressure to defend what is right. Lord knows we've done that over and over again in this state. But what we should not inflict those hardship on our state to defend something that we all acknowledge should change, and we know it's wrong. Some say that changing the flag is going to put us on some slippery slope, and I've had great and long debate and conversations with you all privately about that it's going to lead us to abandoning our symbols and our cherished beliefs and all the things that we hold dear. But changing the flag alone, stop for a minute and think about it. It doesn't logically lead to that conclusion. By changing our flag, we don't abandon our founding principles. We embrace them more fully by doing what is right. We're not moving further away from our founding fathers' visions. We're moving closer to them. We are not destroying our heritage. We're fulfilling it. We are fulfilling those ideas. Changing the flag does not lead in the direction of the slippery slope. Every other state that had Confederate symbolism in their flag, they've removed it. It's gone. It didn't result in those states losing everything that they hold dear. They didn't abandon the love of God and country that they have for their homeland, for their people, for their families. None of that happened, and it's not going to happen here. This is not about erasing history. It's about making it. It's about making history. History is not just something that we only inherit. We all know it that way because that's what we do. We read about history and things that happened. But it's not something that we just inherit. It's also about making history. And it moves on, and time marches on. And you're here in this place today for that very reason. What we pass on is our choice. History's made to this point. I'm not for throwing it away or abandoning it, but we're here now at a point. We're at a jumping off point. And what we pass on here is our choice. But it's not just our choice. It's mine and your responsibility. Change is inevitable. Change happens. The question for you and I today is what kind of change we're going to have. Do you want radical change that rejects our past in its entirety and leaves us lost and we go kicking and screaming down the road into the 21st century? Do we want that? Or can we have common sense, conservative change that leaves the mistakes of the past behind and takes our best traditions into the future? Those are the things we should embrace and hold dear and expound on and move forward. There are some who say this decision, Jason, is too big for the legislature. It's too big for y'all to make. That should be left to a public vote. Here's what I say about that. Our founders gave us a republic. It's the best design the world has ever seen. It's here in your hands today. In a republic, and I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm telling you, we're elected to make tough decisions. We're elected to cast tough votes. And the people in this body, some of you are new and this is your first session, and maybe in a lot of ways it's not fair, but maybe in a whole bunch of different ways, I would tell you you're blessed. But on tough votes, I've sat up here with many of you at night and we've argued and you've called me bad names and I might have called you bad names and we've taken tough votes. When votes came in here on funding schools and tax increases, everybody in here took a tough vote. You took a tough vote. When it comes time to protect our rights, be they our families, be guns, all the different things we've debated, the unborn, we took tough votes. We disagreed a lot of times, but we took tough votes. Nobody ever ran down here to this well and said, well, let's stop the train right now. Let's run home. Let's get a referendum and let's see how the vote comes out. And then I'll let you know. Nobody did that. We stood here, we voted, and we moved on. It's what we were elected to do. We cannot shirk our responsibilities. In one of our nation's darkest hours, President Lincoln, addressing Congress, described the inescapable duties of elected leaders. Those words then still ring true today. Here's what he said. We cannot escape history. We will be remembered in spite of ourselves. We hold the power and we bear the responsibility. It's time to exercise our responsibility today. It's time to adopt a new state flag that's rooted in the best traditions of that liberty and that justice for all that we talk about. And let's move forward together and show the nation once and for all that we are one nation under God. Ladies and gentlemen, this resolution suspends the rules for the purposes of introduction of a bill that will do two things. It will delete the current code section, which is 3316, that is the current design of our state flag. It deletes that section in its entirety, or this resolution allows us the ability to address that code section. In addition, this would allow us to introduce a general bill that would establish a commission that would meet, come up with designs. I envision it having appointments by the Speaker, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor, involving some of our Department of Archives and History and the Arts Commission and some of those folks in the appointments. They would meet, come forward with a design. They would hash that out, come forward with a design that has two stipulations. The design cannot include the Confederate battle emblem as part of its design, and it shall include the words, "In God we trust." Those are the only two charges, if you will, to that commission. They would come forward and settle on one design that would be reported to the Secretary of State no later than the middle of September and would go on the ballot this November and would have to receive a majority. That one design would have to receive a majority vote of the people of this state. If they reject that design, the commission will go back to work and would bring another one forward, and we would set another election at a future date. Mr. Speaker, that is a very brief explanation of the concurrent resolution. Again, this is not the bill. This is simply the mechanism by which we would address those issues. I'd be glad to yield for any questions.
Questions? Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry. She passes. Gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Geis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request to be recognized for an amendment. Proper time.
All right. Gentleman from Monroe, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to have an opportunity to speak on the amendment.
Okay. This is on the amendment or the resolution?
On the resolution, I apologize.
Okay. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Gentlemen, you explained the bill and you said, of course, if it did not pass the first time, they would come back with another design. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you did say that the current flag legislation we have in the code section now would be repealed now. Is that right?
Correct.
Well,
Effective
in the
upon
meantime,
passage.
if it were rejected during that interim period, what would be the state flag?
There would be no state flag.
There'd be no state flag.
That's correct.
Which is something we did have many, many years ago when we had for the referendum. You're familiar, we did not really have an official state flag. We used the state flag we have now customary because that statute had been repealed way back in the 30s. A lot of people don't know that, but thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman. Oh, you passed? All right. You want to, okay. All right, I don't see any further questions. I'm going to recognize the gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Geis, for an amendment. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, going back several years, we started down the path of exploring a different flag for our state. And in 17 actually, I requested a bill be drafted in that regard. And in meeting with my colleagues, it was not timely to drop it, to bring it before the Speaker's office for consideration. Since then, in 2018, 19, and 20, I authored a bill to change our flag. In each instance, there's a little bit different element to it, trying to make it more favorable to the people of this body. It never came out of committee. But in all cases, it gave the opportunity to vote by the people of our state. Right or wrong, in 2001, the people of our state were granted the right to vote on their flag, on our flag. They've come to expect that where I live. So don't think that I'm up here with a light heart or without having explored this for an extended period of time. Many of y'all know, because I'm a man that's rigid in his opinions, I had a lot of opponents the last time I ran. So I had to visit with my constituents a lot. A lot of them I went on their front porch more than 3 times. Well, aside from the big 4 and the bulk of House District 114, the main question I was asked, like many of you, is where do you stand on the flag? And my response was consistent. It was, I'm not going to vote to change our flag without you having an opportunity to vote on it. I believe if you look at the history of the bills that I had drafted and requested, that we need to have a flag that is unifying. We need to have one that we can all attest to the fact that we love one another. Y'all know I love all of y'all in here. Everybody in here is my brother and my sister. I care about every one of you. We don't always agree, but I do love you. So I'm here on behalf of the people that had to get out there and campaign hard and give them an opportunity to keep their word, to not vote to change our flag until the people had an opportunity to vote on it themselves. It's obvious we're here today and there's votes to do to the contrary, but I'm a man that keeps to his word. So we're all going to vote how we need to vote. This is going to be a voice vote. I'm willing to accept the ruling of the chair, to the speaker, on how the voice get in a dry mouth, voice vote goes. You do what you think you should. But remember, be true to yourself. Let's love each other when we're finished with this. And let God give us all peace for the rest of our lives. Thank you.
We'll jump from Tate. Mr. Lamar, you have a question?
Motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
Move to table the amendment.
Motion is to table. Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed? I don't see any. All right, question occurs on the motion to table Amendment 1. If you favor the motion to table, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. Motion to table.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Passes. All right, I don't see any further amendments. Gentleman from Monroe wishes to speak. He's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise before you today and not in support of the current flag. I want to make that clear. I do rise in support of not taking the joy from the people of Mississippi to tell this country and the world that we are moving forward together. We want to take the joy away from them. We have seen momentum across this state that says We are ready for a change. I've got text after text after text saying, I'm for flag change, but don't take my right from me to choose. I want to tell my kids and my grandkids and my children that I made the right choice. We as a body want to take that from them. I don't think we can move forward together if we say you can have any flag you want except this one. If we put the current flag on the ballot with another good design, the people of Mississippi will change it. I believe that. Let's not steal their joy. They want to show the world that they're moving on, and we want to take that from them. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. We saw it right at the University of Mississippi. They had a mascot they wanted to change, and they changed it. You can have any mascot you want except this one. 15, 20 years later, they still don't have a consensus. That's not where we want to be as a state. We want to move forward together. The only way to do that is to put this flag on the ballot, and if it's defeated at the ballot box, it is over. If the people don't get a chance to vote on it, we'll see referendum after referendum after referendum of unrest and people unhappy because we took that right from them. I'm not rising here in support of the current flag. I want to restate that. But I am rising in support of the people's right to choose that and to not steal their joy, to say we as a people, as a state, are moving forward together. I trust the people of this state. I hear from them every day just like you do. They're great people. I love Mississippi and I trust our people more than any other state in this union. They're good-hearted people. They will do the right thing if we give them a chance. Now's the time to let them speak. A vote to suspend the rules, a no vote to suspend the rules is not, I repeat, is not an endorsement of the current flag. It is not. A no vote to this HC 79 is to say, I want the people to have that choice. I'm not going to steal their joy. I respect everybody in here. Thank you for listening to me. And after all this is over, I'm still going to call you friends. I just want to let the world know that Mississippi is moving forward together. And I have confidence in the people of this state.
Gentleman from Madison, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been 20 years since I was at this podium and really pretty much following a speech that we just that we just heard, the referendum. I was on the Flag Commission that was appointed to travel about the state to take input from the citizens of this state on a flag design. To keep the current flag with the Confederate emblem or to explore another design. I don't know how many of you were here at that time or experienced that, but that was a pretty bad experience for all of us, especially for former Governor Winters, who headed up the commission. Our lives appeared to be in jeopardy at some of those hearings. We had Highway Patrol escorts. I had a personal driver. In some places, we left on 2 wheels because of the divisiveness that those hearings engendered in Mississippians. It turned into not necessarily an exploration of ideas, but one of expressions of hatred, divisiveness, racial discord. It was the wrong thing to do then. Because people who were generally friendly to each other's neighbors, had no reason to dislike one another, suddenly had a cause. And that cause was one of interpretation of history. Those who were people like me saw the flag a certain way. Those who were not like me saw the flag based on their own experiences, their family associations, their own history. Obviously, those histories were not the same. I know that when you walk into this building every day and you look at that podium, I would guess that a lot of you don't even see that flag in the right corner up there. There are some of us who notice it every time we walk in here. And it's not a good feeling. Sadly to say that I've moved past the kind of feelings I had growing up and seeing that flag as it traveled through our neighborhoods and was not for good purpose. But now my kids are all adults. They've come up having to accept the fact that Mississippi has a flag that represents a history that's painful to them. They didn't experience it, they read about it, they studied it. Now I have grandkids who are asking questions about that flag. That's not a uniting issue there. We need a flag that you heard the story of Francis Scott Keys and the Star Spangled Banner, and every time we hear that song, wherever we are, we get up and we all rise. And we rise whether you're black, white, green, or yellow. And there's a sense of pride in the song and looking at that flag. When the color guards comes through, we stand up and we salute that flag. But if you bring in our state flag now, and there's no uniting song, there's no melodious tunes to that flag. It ought to be something that we all feel a sense of pride, that when we see it, we know that that's about us, not just some of us. So when I went in the room a moment ago in rules and I read through the suspension resolution, I said that a lot of thought went into that because it appears to touch upon almost everybody's concern. We're going to have a referendum, just not a referendum on that flag. We're going to have an opportunity to vote to put that flag in the right corner up there where it ought to be, in the history books, perhaps even in the museum, where to be part of our history, where those who want to study and know about it can see it, can understand what it means to some and what it means to some others. I'll commend those of us in this building who've taken a giant step. I'll say now to the speaker a few years ago, when I first read that he said that the flag should be changed, I was surprised that a man in his position would take such a bold step, no matter what his personal beliefs are, but to step forward and say it. He's on the right side of history now. I woke up this morning like many of you, and I watched the news, and on each channel they were talking about the vote on Mississippi's flag. Senior legislator says Mississippi has the votes. That's on national news. You look in the international news, it's there too. Why one state in the United States concerned about a flag brings about international interest? It is so because of what that flag stands for. That's not something that we ought to continue. Where my kids, your kids, grandkids, when that flag comes around, they'll stand in attention and all be proud to say, that's my flag too. This is a good piece of legislation. I wish I had written it and take some credit for it. But I can take credit for voting for it. I ask you to support the resolution.
I don't see anyone else wishing to speak. I recognize the chairman to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the comments made at this well today. I appreciate the comments from those of you who have sought me out over the last few days in this building to express your desire one way or another. And I would simply say this to you: I appreciate you. I'm glad you're where you are. I'm glad we're all here together making this decision. To the gentleman from Monroe's point about the people's vote, I simply want to say this: there's no desire here to usurp anybody's right to a vote. People voted for you and me. You went to their door and you knocked on it and you asked them to vote for you. You signed up for this. This country has gone to war, and we didn't stop and weigh all the things and run a ballot out to every person in this nation to see, when Pearl Harbor was bombed, if we were going to go to war. This state seceded from the Union, and they didn't run a ballot box up through the Mississippi River and back down the middle of the state on a railroad and see where everybody weighed in on it. Delegates went and took a vote, and they moved. And why today would you urge anything different than you as a legislative body? Earlier this session, we forcefully said to different folks in different branches of government, this body has a duty and a right on certain things. I submit to you that this is one of those things. Mr. Speaker, I would move that we adopt the resolution.
All right, gentlemen, use the floor. Question now recurs on House Concurrent Resolution 79. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the resolution, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 85 yeas and 34 nays, resolution passes. Recognize the presenter.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask for immediate release of the resolution.
Is there objection? Hearing none, we will do that. Announcements, Mr. Clerk. Announcements, Madam Clerk. Announcements by the members. I don't see any. All right, I don't see any announcements. Recognize the gentleman from Prentice for the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow, and that the journal shall remain open until every last committee report is received.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
When? Tomorrow? 10? 2. 2 tomorrow. So we adjourn to 2 tomorrow. Done it. Just